Hello again, I am Blunty, and I think you'll agree with me in saying that it's an indoor hobby kind of period in human civilization right now because of, the virus and such. So I have decided at long last, after many, many years of putting it off, to finally get around to giving Gunpla a go, or Gundam model kit building, or model kit building in general, but Gunpla is one of the more popular choices out there if you're sort of not particularly interested in tanks and airplanes and sort of real life military stuff. There's tons of that about, but it's never really been my bag. I'm much more of an anime nerd, so I decided to give this a go. So I got myself this kit. This is a real grade. There's several different grades of them, and we'll come sort of closer to that in a second, but this is a real grade. So this is a very detailed, highly sophisticated option, but it is designed to look good. Basically, once you build it without any extra painting steps, basically, it's designed to look real without having to go through the extra steps of painting. And I, while I'm confident in my ability to build one of these things, and in fact, it went quite well, I was not confident in my ability to paint it because I have zero experience in model painting or painting on a 3D surface at all for that matter, come to think of it. But I have lots of experience at putting things together by following instructions because I've been building Lego since, well, my very earliest memories, basically. So I built this on a live stream and it went pretty well. I got stuck in a couple of places. It was a fairly complicated build and there was some stuff that blew my friggin' mind. Like there were moving parts, injection molded, moving. I still haven't figured out how they did it. There was ball joints, injection molded, and they were moved right out of it. It's ridiculous. Oh, there's a ball joint on this thing. Injection molded ball joint that actually works. I have no clue how that is achieved. GWA list error said before something about sonic welding or something like that. I don't know what oh, holy shit, there's it's bloody hell! There is two hinge joints and a ball joint right out of the injection molded tray. How? So yeah, I very much enjoyed the process of building this. I very much enjoyed the process of exploring the bewilderingly high level of engineering that went into creating this thing. It's just gobsmackingly beautiful in so many different ways. And sort of one of my favorite parts is like the thigh joint here, the way they've made this armor separate as you bend the knee. It sort of floats over itself and comes back, and it's a double hinged knee, so you can bend it right back. It makes it highly posable and stuff. And it's just little touches like that all the way through it. Just brilliant pieces of engineering all the way through. It's not a perfect kit. This is the first real grade one they've produced. So they've got, a few learning steps in here, and sort of things like the ball joints in the hands is kind of notorious in this particular model for being a little bit fragile, apparently. But yeah, I will definitely be giving it another go with further kits down the track. But before I built this, I gave a much simpler kit a go, which was this little fella right here. This is a little RX-75 gun tank, also from the, see, look, I just dropped him off the box there, and there goes his thumb. I'll fix that later. Don't lose that thumb, teeny tiny thumb. There are so many teeny tiny parts in this, it's ridiculous. But I gave this a go first because it was like $14, and I decided, well, I'll pick up something small just to get to grips with the basics of model building, how to properly snip free all the different parts from the trays and how the instructions are ordered, and sort of feel out the process of building one of these things before I attempted the much more significant challenge of this guy here. So it took me about, I think, an hour and a half, while live chatting as well, which always slows you down, to build this guy, and that's what I got. And even this, I was pretty impressed with the level of detail, but as you can see already sort of right out of the box, it's not nearly as good as the real grade. This is from the SD series, the Super Deformed series, so these are deliberately off-model. And then, the humanoid ones come with sort of gigantic heads and the sort of cutesy and everything. But the reason I got this was twofold. One, to get used to things, and two, because it did have a fairly good level of detail molded into the plastic. Even for something like $14, this kit was kind of amazing. And, we've got fully hinged shoulders and arms, and we can rotate this, and there's an elbow in there, and the waist rotates, and these guns sort of freely rotate on a couple of a little cockpit in there with a little guy in there. And, it's nicely detailed. But mainly I wanted to use this as a test bench for learning how to paint these things, because as I pointed out before, I have zero experience in painting. So this was going to be my sacrificial device from painting until I work my way up to painting the more sophisticated models like this, or the master grade ones, or whatever I wind up moving on to if I go that deep into the hobby. So in this video, I just wanted to firstly explore using this, which is called a wash. And the idea of this is not really a paint. I mean, it is an enamel paint as such, but it is designed to sort of be fed into the little cracks and nooks and crannies of the various panel lines between the, what's supposed to represent different plates of armor and things like that. And supposedly just doing something as simple as running this into those lines will give this a whole new level of detail and make it sort of pop and make separate all those panels out a bit and make it look less like a piece of plastic with stuff molded into it and more like something that is, made up of many different pieces of plates of armor and things like that. So I'm going to test this out with this. I've got my teeny tiny little $2.50 paintbrush here with a fine tip. And the idea of this is it's quite watery. So you load up your paintbrush and you sort of dab it into the crack and it will run into the crack, and then you sort of wipe away the stuff from the surface after it's dried a bit. So we're going to give that a go. And if that is successful on this, I'm going to move straight on to this and see if I can sort of make this pop a little bit, because I don't know whether, any Gunpla experts might have noticed I haven't applied any of the decals. So there's no extra detail on this thing like there really should be, because I wanted to try the line detailing first, and having it as blank slate as possible before I start to do that, I thought would emphasize the difference it could possibly make. So yeah, let's give that a go. I'm going to go into, I don't know, a time lapse or something, and we'll come back once I'm done and we'll see how we did. Well, that didn't really go the way I expected it. The tutorial videos that I saw, when you apply the wash, it sort of flows into the cracks and stuff. This didn't really do that. I don't know whether I should have thinned it out a bit more. The tutorials I did watch weren't using this exact brand, but this is a very well-known brand of model makers, paints and stuff. Umbral, I've been hearing about those my entire friggin' life from model makers. They've been around longer than I have, I think. But yeah, I think maybe next time I give this a go, I might try watering that down with some thinner. But what I did was sort of, when it wasn't flowing into the cracks, I sort of daubed it on, kind of a heavy dry brushing kind of technique. And then I was sort of, while it was still wet, sort of wiping it off the flat surfaces where it should remain, caught in the little nooks and crannies like it should. And then I went through with some methylated spirits, which is the only thinner I had on hand, and sort of washed off the excess from the flatter panels and stuff like that. And again, hopefully just leaving just a little bit in the nooks and crannies. And it did kind of work all right on this arm. You can see here this has a lot more sort of definition than just the sort of plain plastic. I did it half and half, by the way, so I could have a comparison. So I only did this half. I did its right-hand side with the technique and left the other side open. But yeah, a lot of the stuff, I mean, I don't hate the way it looks, but it's not panel lining. What I did was weathering, if anything, because it just looks like, it looks like the tracks are dirty. And it looks like the vents down here are dirty, which, I was going to experiment with weathering anyway, because I definitely love the sort of heavily weathered, battle damaged look of sort of paint jobs on these Gundam, more detailed Gundam kits. So I definitely want to get to that point where I can do that kind of stuff. But yeah, I kind of accidentally did it when what I was intending to do was panel lining with some wash. But yeah, it's I haven't done a particularly good job of cleaning it up either. So but not bad for my first quick attempt and experimentation and sort of getting a feel for, how this stuff flows and what it's like to work with and stuff like that. But if you are a Gundam, Gunpla, or a model kit maker of some kind, if you have hints, tips, tricks, or recommended tutorial channels and things like that, please feel free to leave them in the down below. Otherwise, critiques. Is this what it's supposed to look like when you do this? What have I done wrong? What should I work on? What's a better idea to do this? I like the way the treads have come out, sort of the inside of the tread wheels there, though. I kind of sort of globbed some paint in there. Let me get you a better, there we go. Those have picked up a lot of detail. And that was kind of what I was hoping for, because this, again, it just looks like molded plastic, which is what it is. But on this side, all these little hubs have picked up a lot of dirt and grit and stuff. And again, it's kind of closer to weathering than it is panel lining, which is what I was going for. So I don't think I am anywhere close to being ready to try out my techniques on my big guy here yet. But stage 1 learning, I just thought I'd share that with you. How do you think I did? What should I do better? Have you ever tried these kits? I was about to turn that over, but I just realized that paint is still wet there, so I didn't want to put it on my desk. And also I've realized I can't find my I used to have this special paintbrush cleaning stuff back when I did 2D painting stuff and line work and stuff for self-published comics. I thought I kept it. It's fantastic stuff. I'll put a picture of it up on screen. Artists will know this, surely. It smells wonderful. But I can't find it. I'm sure I still had it. So now I've got to figure out how to clean my paint. Actually, Metho should do it, right? That'll do fine. All right. I'll leave you there. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty. And yeah, what other hobbies have you been doing indoors, I guess, would be the other question. Hang on a sec. Is this ASMR? Wait, it won't ring if I... Hang on. Is that ASMR? Am I doing it right? Thanks for watching.